Real quick, welcome to all my new subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and select all so you'll be notified every time I upload a new presentation, Thinking Out Loud segment, or Real Talk Tuesdays, or Shabbat sermon. I want to thank you all for your continued support, and please continue to like, share, and comment. All right. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim. Today's date is November 6th, 2022. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, that means you were blessed to see yet another day. And for that, all praise, honor, and glory is due to the Most High God of Israel, the creator of the universe, the heavens and earth, everything above, in between, and below. All right, y'all, this lesson I'm going to present to y'all today is about the Batutsi Jews. Now, I did kind of hear them before, but I didn't really research their history like that. And they're not very popular at all, but because if you look at their exterior, they look very Africanic in their approach. But these people are definitely Jews or Hebrew Israelites by their customs, and we're going to get into that. But I was reading up on them because I don't know, I think I ran up on something that mentioned them, and I kind of started clicking on things and then researching them more, and I'm like, oh wow, I got to bring this to the congregation, man. Basically another lost tribe, the Batutsis. Sometimes it's shortened to Tutsi. Yeah, these brothers and sisters right here, man, like they for real. And guess what? Their DNA, because I was looking for that. Let's see what the DNA say, because it appears they kind of intermingled with the Ethiopians a little bit. We'll kind of get in a little bit of that as well, but their Y-DNA outs them as the seeds of Jacob. They are lost Hebrew Israelites. They are. And I was like, wow. I just kind of, and then my mind started really going. I remember way back into this, well before my time, but they had a dance called the Batutsi, right? Like back in the days or whatever. And I'm saying I'll bet my last dollar that dance, the Batutsi from back in the day, was an indirect nod to probably where the Israelites that came from, probably from that tribe back in the day, and they brought that with them over here to North America. And there's a play on the Batutsi, was a play on Batutsi, right? And I was like, oh wow, that's pretty awesome, man. So we definitely had remnants of our past that we brought with us. I might do a lesson on that, because there's a lot of things that we say that are actually remnants of our glorious past. For instance, like the term massa. It was long held that they thought slaves were saying massa as a play on master, but actually massa in Hebrew means burden, right? And that's one side. And the flip side is that massa, M-A-S-S-A, was actually one of Ishmaelite's sons' names. So it could be a nod to either or of them being a burden on our people, calling them massa, or it could be an indirect nod to who they saw as their captors and oppressors, as the Muslims, as one of the Muslims or whatever, or one of the Muslims that might have been over them, overseeing them, so they just referred to him by the name massa because that was his name or something. So either way you look at it, that's a nod to our past, and I may very well do a lesson on that. So but anyway, let's go ahead and get into the Batutsi Jews and see what's going on with these brothers and sisters. Let's get it. Okay, it says the Batutsi Jews are one of the most ancient branch of Jews that settled in the southern marches of Abyssinia, Ethiopia / Kush. So what that tells me is that clearly they mixed a little bit with the Ethiopians from that area. But when we get into the DNA, we will see that there's no way they didn't mix, right? but more than half of them still carry Jacob's seed. So that tells me, yes, there was mixing going on, but still it wasn't mixing like that, if y'all know what I mean, right? So we'll get into the DNA in a little bit, but it says the Tutsi Jews, as sometimes it's shortened to, named after the Hebrew Centagim Tetsi, those who will go forth. So that's a play on a Hebrew word, just their name. Batutsi, those who will go forth. And they're renowned nomadic and semi-nomadic agro-pastoralist people of Eastern and Central Africa, also called the Great Lakes or Kingdoms of the Mountains of the Moon, from the local Judeo-Cushite Hebrew denomination. See, when you throw in the Cush, it represents a mixture there. But you can mix, man. But even if you mix with the children of Israel, unless you carry that seed of Jacob, man, you're still a sojourner. I mean, some people think they can, just kind of get in there and you know what I mean? Like, nah, it don't work like that. Like, I mean, you still, if your father is an Israelite, then you're an Israelite. All right. If your father is not an Israelite, then, you can sojourn, but you're a sojourner. Okay. It's all about that seed. That's why, our genealogy was of the utmost importance to the Most High. I keep saying that because I wanted to penetrate. I'm serious. Like, the genealogy of the children of Israel is of the utmost importance to God. And that's why, he talked about it so much in the Torah, right? Because it's real like that, right? You can say whatever, but I mean, can you reckon your genealogy is that, right? Okay, so let's go into the next little thing here. And it says, the Tutsi, they're an ethnic group of the African Great Lakes region. They are Bantu speaking, and of course we all know when we see that Bantu, we already know that so-called Bantu expansion that took place over 4,000 years ago. That was a Hebrew Israelite expansion. Okay, so that right there is key, and that's why I keep, for those who come to the channel and you might see a video and just start responding. Listen, I recommend you please don't do that, because I'm 200 something videos in, so you're well behind the knowledge behind why I do certain videos and why I use certain terms, even with Jesus. Okay, I do that on purpose. We all know his name is not actually Jesus, but I do that because the majority of people outside of us, the small percentage of us, don't know that. So sometimes I refer to him as Jesus, but I know his name was not Jesus. Okay, so please don't come to the channel with your little pseudo whatever, thinking you telling us something new and groundbreaking. Do some, check out some of the videos, listen to some of the teaching, and get caught up, get up to speed before you start trying to, interject. Because then you're doing so, without any real insight, and that's just not a cool thing. So, but anyway, when we see the term Bantu, we know that Negroes, when the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary said not the Negroes that Ham became the progenitor of, I uncovered by grace and mercy of the Most High that the Negroes were the Bantus. So all of us, African Americans, the Negro influenced groups throughout the transatlantic and Caribbean, Central America, North America, South America, all over the world, we're basically all quote unquote Bantus. Okay, so it says they are a Bantu speaking ethnic group, the Tutsis, and the second largest of three main ethnic groups in Rwanda. Wow, how about that? Rwanda, and Burundi. The other two being the largest Bantu ethnic group, Hutu, and the Pygmy group of the Tiwa. Pygmies are Israelites too. Historically, the Tutsi were pastoralists and filled the ranks of the warriors caste. Before 1962, they regulated and controlled Rwandan society, which was composed of Tutsi aristocracy and Hutu commoners, utilizing a clientship structure. They occupied the dominant positions in the sharply stratified society and constituted the ruling class. What? Get out. It said the definition of Tutsi, people have changed through time and location. Social structures were not stable throughout Rwanda. Even during colonial times under the Belgian rule, the Tutsi aristocracy or elite was distinguished from Tutsi commoners. When the Belgian colonists conducted censuses, they wanted to identify the people throughout Rwanda, Burundi, according to a simple classification scheme. They defined Tutsi as anyone owning more than 10 cows, a sign of wealth. Oh, really? Or with the physical features of a longer, thin nose, high cheekbones, and being over 6 feet tall, all of which are common descriptions associated with the Tutsi. Nah, we don't really have long, thin noses. I don't know where to get that from. I kind of get a little pushback on that one. because our nose is mostly known for being kind of big and flat. No, not big and flat, but you know what I mean. Not definitely not like long and thin. I wouldn't say that. But anyway, moving on. It said Tutsis are said to have arrived in the Great Lakes region from the Horn of Africa. Tutsi were considered to be of Cushitic origin. Nope. Oh, they do not speak a Cushitic language. Well, that should tell you they're not Cushites then. So why would you even, I mean, who even put that in there? No, they're not Cush. And we're going to deal with that in the next segment with the DNA. But they assumed that they were. I guess they did a little mixing with the Ethiopians, so they're up in there, but they're not. Their origin is definitely not Cush. That's why they don't speak no Cushitic language. Duh. Well, they said they've lived in the areas where they presently inhabit for at least 400 years. Okay. Leading to considerable intermarriage, right, exactly, with the Hutu in the area, exactly, the admixing. We mixed in. Remember, the Most High said we want to mix in every nation, so it's not a shock to me for a percentage of us to be in all these different African nations, Ethiopians included. I mean, he said basically every nation, you're going to have Israelites mixed in somewhere. So it's not surprising to me to see a percentage of us that don't carry the seed of Jacob because of the mixing. Now, the Most High knows who's who. He don't need the DNA. That DNA is for us, so we'll know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, who is a genetic seed of Jacob, who came from Jacob's loins. That's the only way you can reckon your genealogy as a child of Israel. Period, point blank. So when I see that they said they intermarried with some of the Ethiopians, I guess they did. They lived over there for 400 years. I mean, I'm pretty sure they did. Just like when we were in Egypt, I'm pretty sure we mixed up with the Egyptians, right? I'm not surprised by that. I mean, to think that we would be someplace for hundreds of years and not cohabitate and procreate with the other people that they. I mean, that's just not reasonable. I wouldn't even believe that, right? So, anyway. They said many analysis, as well as inhabitants of the Great Lakes region, carrying on the tradition, distinguish the Tutsi as Cushitics. I do not. From Bantu people like the Hutu and several ethnic groups in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and in Uganda. However, Bantu is a linguistic classification. Bantu people are the speakers of Bantu languages, and that's what the Tutsis, right here, as the Tutsis speak the same Bantu language as the Hutu. They are Bantu-speaking people, and that should tell you, bright person, that they are not Cushites. Okay, that should tell you right there. I don't know why they would assume that they're Cush, Cush in origin. I guess maybe because they always wanted to keep us as Hamitic, I guess. And, so even though they practices, Israelite cultures and things of that nature, they still want to kind of keep them Hamitic too, because Cushites or Hamites, y'all already know what time it is with that, right? So the fact that they speak a Bantu language or whatever, and matter of fact, there's a lot of words in Bantu that are remnants of Hebrew, and I think I did a lesson on that before too. I'm gonna have to bring that up back forth again. But so we know that the Tutsis, they one of the oldest considered Jews from the region, and they kind of intermingled with the Ethiopians, so they're kind of tied in a little bit there. Okay, cool. Now let's go to the DNA. Let's see what the DNA says. Okay, because that's what's up. Now, with respect to the Y-DNA haplotypes of the Tutsis, modern day genetic studies show their Y chromosomes are largely 60% at the time they did this particular test. 60% was E1B1A. Bam. Or EP2, which is still E1B1A. 60%. So that means over half of the Tutsis are Israelites. Okay, like I said, we already know they got to the region and mixed with some of the Ethiopians there. Okay, cool, right? So the Israelite fathers, the Tutsi fathers of those Ethiopian women, their children are Israelites, at least by my standard. Now, if the Most High, doesn't count them as that, I mean that's him. That's him. I can't speak to that. That's beyond my pay grade. But their Y-DNA says that over 60%, at the time of this particular test, over 60% of the Tutsis are Hebrew Israelites, E1B1A. That's why they have all the customs and know all the, this in the words. And yeah, they brought remnants of our glorious past with them. Even though if you look at them, externally in their exterior, they look Hamitic in their approach if you look at them. But you can't judge a book by its cover, man. That's what they say. Their customs, their beliefs, what they do, how they do it, it's all Israelite, man. I mean, Hamitic Africans, they didn't know nothing about none of that kind of stuff. We brought that with us and introduced that. Remember, they called us in Yoruba, they called us Imo Yokaim. They called us a strange people for our customs and our beliefs, whatever, So to the Hamitic Africans, the customs of an Israelite would be strange. Because we did things a certain way, circumcise our child on this 8th day. I mean, all these different things, how we did our meat, all the customs, that they consider quote unquote Jewish. We did that. So that's why the missionaries were so shocked seeing Africans do that. Like, well, wait a minute, where did y'all get that from? What do you think, lady? We were doing that. We're Israelites. We're doing what we've been taught to do. We're doing what we had a covenant with the Most High God to do. Because no missionary sure went to Africa and taught them no Hebrew Israelite customs. You can believe that, right? So now, so we have that established. Now, at the time of this test and the sample size they had, they said under 3% was E1B1B. So what that number tells me, E1B was if under 3% is E1B1B, which represents a completely different bloodline from E1B1A, and we know E1B1B to be Hamitic. Now, I gotta straighten this out real quick. Apparently, and I just found this out, so I want to bring this to the congregation, all right, about the E1B1B. Apparently, the black Hamitic Africans that carry E1B1B, they're E1B1B1A or something like that, and then the Edom seeds, or the so-called European ones that carry E1B1B, they're E1B1B1B. So that 1A, 1B distinguishes them kind of separately, even though they're both E1B1B, but that 1A, 1B kind of makes that, kind of separates them, if you know what I mean. It separates them. So now it makes more sense in terms of why they both kind of carry E1B1B, because one is E1B1B1A and one E1B1B1B. Yeah, I know. It sounds, a little confusing, but I mean, hey, do what we can do, right? But yeah, I wanted to bring that to the masses as far as the E1B1B. But without question, E1B1A is Jacob all day. I mean, if I don't know nothing else, I know that, and in my heart of hearts, by grace and mercy of the Most High. So, yes. And what is their? Let's say what their maternal haplogroups say. Here we go to 23andMe. It says further individual 23andMe DNA test suggests that, Tutsi mitochondrial DNA lineage is associated with local East African hunter-gatherer maternal haplogroup, particularly haplogroup LO. I've seen that a few times with some Hebrew sisters. LO, okay. With very few associated with West African mitochondrial lineages. Thank you, 23andMe. Again, they're telling the truth. The mitochondrial lineages of Hebrew women are not going to be the same as West African Hamitic women. Thank you. They said a good number also carry West Eurasian mitochondrial lineages, particularly M1, K1A, but also J1, really, and R0, RO. So they said in general, the Tutsi appear to share a close genetic kinship with the Bantu populations, particularly the Hutus. And then they go on to say, however, it is unclear whether this similarity is primarily due to extensive genetic exchanges between these communities through intermarriage, or whether it ultimately stems from common origins. Now, there we go. We got the history of the Tutsis, and more than that, we got the Y DNA that definitely show and proves that yes, they are in fact Israelites. They are seeds of Jacob, and that's why they have all the customs of what they call what they say are Jewish in origin. That's why no one went to Africa and taught them those things. Please believe they didn't, because remember, the Christians that went into Africa, they were Christian missionaries. They went into Africa to teach them Christianity, and the Zulus shocked them. I read an article one time where the missionaries went in there and they started chanting hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And they were like, wait a minute, where'd y'all get that from? They said hallelujah. Oh my God, let me tell you something, man. And I'm chuckling because it's kind of cute, but the reality is, in all of the African tribes, and that's from Igbo, Yoruba, the Bamalike, man, the Tutsi, the Ja, the Yoruba, all Israelites, man. I don't know the percentage. I know it's more than half of us, and I don't really care. I don't even, like my grandma used to say, I don't even worry my nerve about worrying how many of us there is, because I know we're mixed in with everyone. So it's not a shock to me for me to hear a percentage of them carry the DNA of someone else or whatever. I mean, because there was a lot of mixing going on, and when the Most High scattered us, that's what happened. We're mixed into virtually every single nation there is on earth. So it doesn't surprise me to see, a percentage of us that's not, even with the Limba, even, there's over half of them are E1B1A, right? Not, and that J1, I don't believe that to be true, but even if it is, if they do have some J1 over there, it ain't going to be no half or 60-70% of no J1. I tell you that. And what that tells me, and what I'm presenting to you all, is that if over half of the people represent a particular haplotype or Y-DNA haplotype, then it's safe to assume logically and conclude that group represents the bloodline of what that majority is, basically. So over 60% of a people says E1B1A, then over half of them are Israelites. So the ones that's got all these other kind of different haplotypes and haplogroups or whatever, okay, that's understandable, because the colonization went on in Africa too, right? Colonization, and factor in we got scattered, so yeah, you're gonna have all kind of different haplotypes among our people. But if more than half represents E1B1A, that means more than half are us. All right, so until next time, I hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. Y'all could do a little more research on it if y'all want to, but I had to introduce y'all to the Tutsi Israelites, man. Those are our brothers and sisters over there. All right, so I hope y'all enjoy. Until next time, let's talk to Ephraim signing off, saying Shalom, elect.